Hello viewers, this is Manway Valar, and I am going to be making a guide to the evolution of combat. I'm going to start just covering the basics, abilities, action bar, and the like, and towards the end I'll get into strategies and combos and such. So let's start with just the basic stats and everything. So this is the equipment interface. It shows what you're wearing over here. Over here it shows the stats of what you have on. So damage is how much damage you would do with an auto attack. This is based off your weapon damage plus your level in that skill. So Crystal Bow has 1321 damage. My ranged level is 72, so that gives me 1393 damage. Your accuracy is your chance to hit. That is the level required to wield your weapon multiplied by 10. So my Crystal Bow has a level of 70, so that's 700 accuracy. Your critical is your chance of scoring a critical hit, which a critical hit on an auto attack will do 50% extra damage, and on an ability it will guarantee it deals its max hit. So that is gotten from amulets and rings. Also, Dragon Claws, in order to compensate for the loss of their special attack, have a critical bonus. So my Amulet of Glory has critical bonuses of 3.9% of everything. So the type is the type of damage you're dealing. So a Crystal Bow shoots arrows. A crossbow would use bolts, or a Godsword, for example, would be slash. Warhammer is crush, etc. It has styles for ranged are arrow, bolt, and thrown. Styles for magic are air, water, earth, and fire. And the styles for melee are crush, slash, and stab. The speed is just how fast you would hit on an auto attack. This does not affect abilities, but if you're using, say, momentum or just auto attacking because you don't feel like doing any abilities, then it will affect how fast it is. So and then you have armor rating, which is how strong your armor is. Armor will have an armor rating that's fairly high if you hover over it. It adds all these together and then divides it by 10. So just based on these stats that it gets hovering over, I would have 3,540 armor, but it divides it by 10 to keep it so that you can actually hit. The life bonus is how much of a health bonus your armor gives you, so I have 3105. So with my 80 hit points, each constitution level counts for 40 constitution, so my 80 hit points gives me 3,200 base health, and then this life bonus of 3105 brings it up to 6,305. And the prayer bonus is your prayer bonus, reduces prayer drain. Life bonus is gotten from your armor. Prayer bonus is gotten from anything you have equipped that adds prayer bonus. And then this is how high attacking under target is how much hit bonus you have against that specific target. It will change it based on what type of thing you're attacking, which is a modifier on your accuracy over here. So against melee, ranged is weak to melee, so I only have 140 hit bonus against that. It's strong to magic though, so I have 700, and ranged it's equal, so I have 350. And then defending is how much armor you have against that style. So against melee, again, I'm weak to it, so I only have 138. Magic, I'm strong to it, so I have 292. That's a little bit lower because my dragon boots are melee. And then ranged, medium to it, 254, a little bit higher for my melee boots. So now that's covered, we will move on to the action bar and abilities. So this is the action bar. You can drag abilities, food, basically anything over here. So if I'm going to withdraw a shark, so I could put my shark over here. Or I could put a potion there. Hang on, just let me replace that ability. or I could put, say, a prayer. So I could drag this over here. Also, you can drag abilities around to different spots. So I could move this over here. However, to prevent dragging abilities around during combat, you can lock it. If it's unlocked, tool chips will show up for your stuff, like so. If it's locked, they won't. And then this button here is the trash can. You can right-click to clear all, or you can drag an ability here if it's unlocked to remove the ability. Over here, this little thing is the select target, so you click on that to go to the next target. Well, you click on that to bring this arrow thingy up, which you use to click on a target. Let's see, there's that mugger over there, so that would target the mugger. I'll get into what that does later. So now let's look into abilities. Each style has each skill has some abilities. Attack, strength, ranged, magic, and defense all have 12. Hit points has 4. So this, and also within your ability book you can access your magic spells. Your combat spells are under the fire thing. Your teleports are under the home teleport, and your skill spells are under the alchemy. So for attack, for melee, you have your attack abilities, which start with slice at level Slice is level 1, I guess. It deals up to 125% weapon damage, and also has a 10% greater chance of being a critical hit, so that would give me a 13.9% critical chance on Slice. Don't be deceived when it says when it says a percent damage of your weapon or whatever. It doesn't always hit that. It hits up to that. So unless it gives a range. So Slice could hit 1% of my weapon damage. After Slice, you have Slaughter, which if it hits you, cause your target to bleed for between 100 to 250%. So it's always going to hit at least 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. And if they move, they suffer triple the damage. And then Overpower at level 3 is an ultimate ability that deals 200 to 400% of your weapon's damage. And oh, I forgot to mention. So a basic ability, such as Slice, doesn't require any adrenaline, and it will boost your adrenaline by, I believe it's 8% when you use it. These tend to be the least powerful abilities. Mostly they're good for adrenaline or just random damage. They can also be useful in combinations. A threshold ability like Slaughter will, it requires 50% of your adrenaline bar, so it changes color a little bit when it reaches this point over here. I'll explain the adrenaline bar momentarily. And it will drain it by 15%, so you need to, so they're not super commonly used. And then ultimate ability requires a full adrenaline bar and will drain your entire adrenaline bar. So adrenaline is like your special attack energy. It builds up with abilities and is drained by other abilities. It will also drain when out of combat. And also certain curses can drain adrenaline. And then next ability is Havoc, a basic ability that will instantly attack with both of your dual-wielded weapons for 100% of both their damage. So, well, I'll demonstrate the abilities later. And then this requires dual-wielded weapons as well as the attack requirement. The next one is Backhand, which you will hit your target with your hand, stunning them for 3 seconds. If they're immune to stun, they suffer 188% weapon damage, which is fairly formidable. And this just requires the attack. This doesn't even require a weapon equipped. And then the next ability is Smash, which will smash your target for up to 125 weapon damage, and it will disable protection prayers if you're in player versus player. So this is usually used as the lead up to a combo to stop them from blocking any damage. It requires a two-handed weapon in addition to the attack requirement. Next ability is Barge, which you will shoulder barge your target, stunning it for 3 seconds. If they're immune to stun, they'll suffer 188% weapon damage. Barge is unique in that it can only be used from a distance. I'm not sure exactly how high that distance is, but it has to be a couple squares at least. Next is Flurry, which you'll perform a flurry of blows against your target. You'll attack at normal weapon speed, but every attack will deal up to 125% damage over the next 6 seconds. So this is more. It doesn't hit super hard individually, but it's good for doing a decent amount of damage over time. And it requires dual-wielded melee weapons in addition, and this is a threshold ability. And then Sever. You'll sever a tendon, dealing up to 188% weapon damage and reducing any damage your target deals by 10% for 10 seconds. So this is good for dealing a decent amount of damage at once, and it can also give you a little breathing room by stopping some damage. And then you have Hurricane, which is a threshold ability. You'll spin on the spot, dealing up to 188% weapon damage to all adjacent targets, which also requires a two-handed weapon. So this is useful for a multi-target area, such as if you're training on fire giants and they're all around you, because you can hit as many enemies are around you and you can hit them pretty hard. But in 1 versus 1, it's not particularly useful because Sever hits just as hard and is a basic. And then we have a couple more ultimate abilities up here. So that's going to be Massacre, where it says rend your target, dealing up to 150% of both 157% of both weapons damage instantly, and another 157% over 6 seconds. So the first part is going to be a range up to 157%. The second part is going to be a guaranteed amount of damage. This requires dual-wielded melee weapons, and this is a good. This move is a good move for doing a lot of damage when they're at low health, because it can kill them, and it also gives you a few seconds to pile on some more damage while the damage over time part takes effect. And then we have the highest level attack ability, which is Meteor Strike, an ultimate ability, where you will crash down on your target with the force of a meteor, dealing damage equal up to 250 to 350% weapon damage. That has a guaranteed range within there, and it is only usable on targets with over 50% of their health remaining, and this requires a two-handed weapon. So now I'll move on to the strength melee abilities. First you have Kick, which will kick your target, knocking them back and stunning them for 3 seconds. This is basically like the old Dragon or Zamorakian Spear special. If they're immune to stun, they'll take 188% weapon damage instead. Punish your target's mistakes, dealing 100% weapon damage, or it will do 135% weapon damage if they're stunned. That's actually an up to that. So this one is basically only useful as the follow-up to a stun. And then you have Dismember, which will deal 125% weapon damage over 6 seconds, so that being a damage over time is a guaranteed damage. And then you have Fury, which unleash your Fury, dealing damage equal to 150% of 6 seconds auto attack damage to your target over 6 seconds. So basically, it would be the equivalent of auto attacking at 150% damage for 6 seconds. And those 4 were all basics. Now we have Threshold, Destroy, which you will perform a destructive attack, dealing damage equal to 188% weapon damage to your target over 6 seconds, during which time they are also stunned. And this is a combo attack, meaning that you can't do another attack while this is going, or it will cancel it. This requires dual-wielded melee weapons. It doesn't sound like much damage, but that 6-second stun prevents them from healing the whole time, so it can lead up into a nice chain of damage. And then you have Quake, which is also a threshold ability. Smash your weapon into the ground beneath you, dealing up to 100% weapon damage to all adjacent targets, and it also drains 5% of their defense level if they're above 90%. And then we have an ultimate ability, Berserk, which will harness your adrenaline to increase all damage dealt, but also all damage gained by 100% for 20 seconds. So basically this will let you do a lot of damage and also take a lot of damage. Not recommendable for player versus player as it opens you up for KO, but in player versus monster you can usually heal for the damage the monsters will deal and also cause a lot of damage to them. And then you have Cleave, a basic ability, which will cleave through your foes, dealing 125% weapon damage to all the targets who are in front of you. And this also requires a two-handed weapon. Oh, and Quake also requires a two-hander. So this is basically good for multi-target. Assault is a threshold ability where you assault your target, dealing damage equal to 219% of 6-second auto-attack damage to your target over 6 seconds. And this is a combo attack, so it's basically the same as Fury, but it does a little bit more damage. And then we have Decimate, which will decimate your target's defenses, dealing 100% of both weapons damage, or 150% if they're 157% if they're wearing a shield. This requires dual-wielded weapons, so it's basically the same as Havoc, except if they have a shield, it'll do more damage. And then we have a couple ultimates. Pulverize, an ultimate. You'll pulverize your target, dealing 219% weapon damage and reducing their damage dealt by 25% for 20 seconds. And this requires a two-handed weapon. This one doesn't do a ton of damage, but it'll stop your opponent from doing a lot for a bit. And then we have Frenzy, which you'll perform a frenzied attack lasting 10 seconds. Targets standing directly in front of you take damage equal to 20% of their maximum life points every 2 seconds. And this is also a combo attack. That covers the melee abilities, and now we'll move on to ranged. So first we have Piercing Shot, which you'll shoot your target with a shot dealing 125% weapon damage, but if they're stunned, it'll deal 157%. And that was a basic ability. And then we have a Threshold, Snapshot, which you just fire 2 shots in quick succession. So up to 200% weapon damage with double the accuracy. And then we have Deadshot, an ultimate, which fire a deadly shot at your target, which deals 188% weapon damage instantly, and a further 157% weapon damage over 6 seconds. So it's basically the same as Massacre, except it does a little bit more damage. And then we have Snipe, a basic ability, where you take aim at your target, dealing up to 219% weapon damage after holding it for 3 seconds. And if you do, this is a combo attack, so if you do anything in between, it'll cancel it. Then we have a basic ability, Binding Shot, which fire a shot which stuns your targets for 3 seconds and binds them in place for up to 20 seconds, and targets immune to stun suffer 188% weapon damage. And then we have Fragmentation Shot, fire a shot which fragments on impact, causing your target to suffer damage equal to 100 to 188% weapon damage over 6 seconds, and if they move, they suffer 3 times damage. So this is basically a slightly weaker basic Slaughter. And then we have Escape, where you leap backwards up to 7 meters to help maintain range from your target. For those in the US, that's about 21 feet. But in-game, that's 7 squares. 1 square is a meter. And then you have a Threshold ability, Rapid Fire, which rapidly fire at your target, dealing damage equal to 94% weapon damage every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. A combo attack. It actually hits faster than every 2 seconds, I'm pretty sure. So this one basically will do slightly higher damage per second than normal with very high accuracy because you're hitting very fast. And then we have another basic ability, Ricochet. Fire a shot with ricochets off your target. It'll hit 2 additional nearby targets for 100% weapon damage each. This is another multi-target ability. And then we have Bombardment, which is a Threshold ability. Fire a volley of shots in the air which come raining down, dealing 219% damage to your target and all adjacent enemies. So this is a fairly high damage attack, and it is also multi-target. Then we have a couple ultimates. Incendiary shot, fire an explosive shot at your target, which will detonate after 3 seconds, dealing damage equal to 40% of their maximum life points. So this is a percentage of health ability, which is a guaranteed hit, and it requires a two-handed weapon to be used. And then we have unload, an ultimate ability. So unload both your weapons at your target's current location for 6 seconds. So every 2 seconds, all targets standing at that location will take damage equal to 35% of their maximum life points. This is a combo attack, so if you use anything in between, it'll cancel it. Basically, if your opponent doesn't move, they die, is what this does, and it requires dual-wielded ranged weapons. And then we have the magic abilities. First one is Rack, a basic ability, which a powerful spell that deals up to 125% active spell damage, and it does 157% against stunned opponents. And then we have Asphyxiate, a threshold ability. Reach out with magical force and choke the life from your target over 6 seconds, dealing damage every 2 seconds. Your target is stunned for the duration, and it's a combo attack. It doesn't say how much damage it deals, but it can hit pretty hard. A decent level, it can hit like a triple 2000 if you're lucky. Then we have an ultimate ability, Omni Power, which bombard your target with each of the 4 elements, dealing damage from 200 to 400% of your active spell damage. So this is exactly the same as Overpower. Then we have Dragon Breath, a basic ability. So breathe a mighty cloud of fire in a frontal cone, hitting all targets for damage up to 180% of active spell damage. So this will hit all the targets in front of you again. Now we have Impact, a basic ability, which you will blast your target with a burst of magical energy, stunning them for 3 seconds. Immune to stun, 188% damage. Then we have Combust, which applies a damage over time effect to the target, dealing 100 to 125% of the active spell's damage over 6 seconds. So this is almost the same as Dismember for melee. Now we have Surge, basic ability where you instantly teleport up to 10 squares in a straight line ahead. If you run into an obstacle, you'll stop there. So if I were to turn this way, 10 squares would be over here-ish. But if I do Surge, I'm going to stop at the wall. And then Detonate, a threshold ability. Summon an explosive ball of energy. The longer you maintain the effect up to 12 seconds, the more powerful the explosion will become. Using Detonate a second time will trigger it. This isn't a particularly powerful ability, especially because you have to sit there and not do anything for 12 seconds. But it does hit a lot of targets at once. And then we have Chain, a basic ability. A magical spell that chains between nearby targets, hitting 2 additional nearby targets for 100% of your active spell damage each, which is the same as Ricochet. And we have Wild Magic, Threshold, which fire an unpredictable double magical attack at your target, which deals anywhere from 25% to 250% of your active spell's damage. So this basically has a chance of being a really powerful KO, but it also has a chance of being utterly useless. And then Metamorphosis, an ultimate ability. Transform into an elemental based on your most recently cast spell. While transformed, your spells are free to cast and your magic damage is increased by 50% and it lasts 20 seconds. That's an ultimate ability. And then we have Tsunami, an ultimate ability. Summon forth a destructive wall of water, damaging all targets in front of you for damage equal to 250% of your active spell's damage. And now we move on to the defense abilities. Anticipation is a basic ability. Concentrate on anticipating your foe's attacks, reducing all damage taken by 10% and providing immunity from stuns for 10 seconds. And then the next ability is Bash. Bash your target with your shield, stunning them for 3 seconds. Targets immune to stun instead suffer 188% weapon damage. This requires a shield equipped, and it's the same as Backhand. Then we have Revenge. Enact revenge upon your foes, causing any attacks you receive to increase your damage dealt by 10%, stacking up to 100%, lasts 10 seconds. This requires a shield, so basically the more damage you take, the more damage you deal. And then we have Provoke, a basic ability. Taunt your target, forcing them to focus their attacks on you. Player targets, if they switch target, will have their damage reduced by 50% when attacking anyone else. However, this also applies to you, and it lasts 6 seconds. And then you have an ultimate ability, Immortality. Any damage you receive is reduced by 25% for 30 seconds. If you should die during this period, you will come back to life. However, it'll end the effect, and it requires a shield. Then we have Freedom. Break free of any stuns or snares and gain immunity to any further ones for 6 seconds. Also clears damage over time effects. So this would basically block like Slaughter, and it would also free you from Destroy or Asphyxiate or whatever. Then we have a threshold ability, Reflect. Raise your shield, reflecting 50% of any damage you receive back to the attacker, and this will also block 50% of the damage you receive, and it requires a shield equipped. Then we have Resonance, a basic ability. The next attack you receive within 6 seconds will heal you instead of harm you, and this requires a shield as well. And then Rejuvenate, an ultimate ability. Channel your adrenaline to help restore 40% of your life points and fully restore your drained stats over 10 seconds. So this will heal you and restore your stats. It requires a shield. Then we have Debilitate, a threshold ability. Debilitate your target for up to 100% weapon damage, also reducing any damage they deal to you by 50% for 10 seconds, so this will block some damage. Preparation, a basic ability. Prepare for the fight ahead, causing each attack you receive to reduce the remaining cooldown of Resonance by 3 seconds, and it lasts 10 seconds. And it requires a shield, so this will reduce the cooldown on Resonance. And then we have an ultimate ability, Barricade. Summon an impenetrable barricade which prevents all damage received for 10 seconds. Finally, the 4 hit points abilities. Regenerate is basic ability. Focus your remaining adrenaline to heal your wounds over 6 seconds. Doesn't work during combat, so with Regenerate, a full bar of adrenaline will heal you by 25%. Then we have Momentum, an ultimate ability. Dramatically increase the damage of your auto attacks to nearly rival abilities for 20 minutes, but if you use an ability during that time, it'll end the effect early. This was basically added for people who want to relax more during combat rather than constantly having to hit abilities, so they don't have to. It will also occasionally fire off a random ability, basic ability. Incite, a basic ability, dramatically increases the likelihood that your attacks will cause your target to attack you instead of your allies, lasts until cancelled, has no effect on player versus player. So this is basically if you're tanking a boss. It makes the boss more likely to turn against you. And then we have Single Way Wilderness basic ability. Toggle between using single way combat and multi-way combat while in the wilderness. Changing this setting takes 10 seconds and will be interrupted if you perform any actions or are attacked while changing. And this setting is retained across death and logout. So this basically lets you choose if you want to go multi-way or single way in the wilderness. Okay, so I will now move on to actual demonstrations of the abilities. So just let me get my gear real quick. Okay, so I'm now in Brimhaven Dungeon, where the Fire Giants, where so I'll be demonstrating the abilities here. So first I'll demonstrate the ranged abilities. So okay, first off, oh, so this is what targeting does, by the way. So if you hit T or the target button over there and then you click on something, it'll target it without actually attacking it. And I also forgot to mention the minimize button on the action bar. You can click on that to minimize it and maximize it. If it's minimized, you can talk without hitting enter. Also, if you right click on it, you can choose to sheath or unsheath your weapon if you're out of combat. So I'll just get out of combat real quick. So if you right click toggle sheath, it'll go on your back. Also, if your weapon's unsheathed, it'll show your combat level if someone hovers over you, but if it's sheathed, it'll show your total skill level. Also, if you have a number pad on your computer, if your action bar is open, you can hit the star key on the number pad to sheath or unsheath your weapon. Okay, so now I'll demonstrate the ability. So I'm going to target this fire giant over here. So snipe or snap piercing shot is just a basic damage ability. So let me see if I can get it to hit here. So there, it just hit and did some decent damage. Okay, next I'll have to spam my way up to threshold, and I'll demonstrate what do you call it? Snapshot. Okay, so here's snapshot. I'm just going to shoot it twice. The second shot missed, but I did shoot it twice. Okay, so now I'll spam my way to ultimate and demonstrate Deadshot. Sorry about the lag. Not sure what's going on there. I'm gonna start a new giant here. So okie dokie. So now I'll use Deadshot on it. So I just hit it with Deadshot, and it's going to take a lot of damage over time. So as you saw, it took the first hit, and then it got hit a couple more times, and then it died. Deadshot would have kept on a bit after that, but it died too soon. So now I'll demonstrate Snipe. So I'm going to target this giant, and then so I'm going to hold it. I'm going to, my character that is going to hold his bow for a few seconds, and then he's going to shoot, and I missed, but it would deal a considerable amount of damage. I believe with my crystal bow it could do about 3,000 damage. Okay, so now I'll demonstrate Binding Shot, which I have in my action bar. So Binding Shot is just going to stun the target and bind them. So as you can see, the fire giant can't follow me or do anything to me for the moment. The stun's going to wear off in a few seconds, but the bind can last for up to 20 seconds. And I can also demonstrate Piercing Shot here. It will do extra damage against a stunned target. See, it hit pretty hard that time. Okay, now I'll demonstrate Fragmentation Shot. So, Frag Shot, which I have in my action bar, is going to hit it for some damage over time, and then if it moves, the damage over time will triple. So the first few hits you saw were 222, then it moved and it went up to 666. So the next ability is Escape, so I'm just going to jump backwards when I do that. And then we have Rapid Fire, so I'll spam my way to threshold again. So now Rapid Fire is just going to hit very, very fast for about 6 seconds with relatively low damage. So as you can see, I'm shooting it a lot. So I just shot it several times very quickly. Next ability is Ricochet. So I'm going to see if I can lure these fire giants kind of close together. And I'll ricochet that one. It didn't do it that time, but I'll get some other fire giants that are, or moss giants maybe, that are more crowded together. There we go. So as you can see, these two are like right side by side. So I'm going to attack that one, and I'm going to use Ricochet. And as you can see, this one's health bar came up, so it hit this one too. Okay, so now I'll demonstrate. I'm over here anyway, so I'll demonstrate bombardment on these. So as you saw, well, it would have hit both of them, and it also did a considerable amount of damage. Hang on a sec, I just have to heal real quick because I'm kind of taking a bit of damage here. Gotta find myself a safe spot here. Okay, there we go. Oh, so this is what Regenerate does. So as soon as I'm out of combat, it's just gonna heal me a bit. I'm gonna eat my shark too. Okay, so where were we? Right. Incendiary shot. So, I'm gonna spam my way up to ultimate again. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to hit it with incendiary shot. I missed. Okay, I'll redo that. The thing about ultimates, if you miss, kind of wasted adrenaline, which is why I personally prefer multiple hit abilities like assault, but and ultimate, so I'm going to incendiary shot still recharging, so I'm just gonna keep shooting for a minute here. Crystal bow degraded. So this is where the speed comes in. If I was auto attacking with, say, God Sword, it'd be a lot slower, because God Swords are only average speed. Crystal bow's fast. Okay, it's just about recharged now. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to target a new giant here. So what you see the arrow is going to stick there for a second, and then it's going to explode and hit it for 40% of its health. Okay, I don't have 81 range, so I can't demonstrate unload. So I'm just going to get my safe spot over here and try not to die. But what unload would do is there would be one spot, and I would shoot at that one spot, and it would do 35% damage every 2 seconds. And if the target, if whatever my target was stayed there and didn't eat, it would die. Okay, so now I'll demonstrate melee abilities. So I'm going to equip my God Sword and my Void. Okay, there we go. So first I'm going to demonstrate the two-handed abilities. And I'm also going to heal myself a bit with Regenerate. Well, before we do this, I'm just going to pause the video for a second and heal myself. Okay, I'm a little healthier now, so I'll start demonstrating the melee abilities. So first we'll do the attack abilities. I'm not going to have to do nearly as much spamming here because fire giants are weak to slash, so I'm more accurate. So first let's just demonstrate slice. So I'm just going to slice the guy and hit him pretty hard. Slaughter, I'll have to spam my way up to threshold, so I'll do that real quick. As you can see, they go down a lot faster with slash. Okay. We'll talk about weaknesses later. Okay, so here we go. So I'll just go and slaughter this guy. I'm just going to kill this guy because he doesn't really have enough health to survive my slaughter. So, okay, I'll get this one. So I'm going to hit him with Slaughter, so as you can see it's dealing damage over time, and he just moved, so, well, he didn't move enough apparently, but it would have tripled and started hitting like a lot of damage. I'm going to heal some more while I wait for them to respawn. So next up we have Overpower, so I'm going to get my ultimate up again. Again, sorry for the lag, it's been running kind of cruddily today. There we go, ultimate. Now I just have to find another giant. Okay, so there's a giant over here. So I'm just going to target, I'm going to hit him to maintain my adrenaline. It's kind of annoying. Adrenaline runs out while I'm trying to get an ultimate out, but whatever. So I'll spam up on this giant, and then I'll go ultimate the other giant. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to go over here and target this dude. I'm going to walk over here and use overpower. So as you can see, so I'm going to jump up into the air and slam down, and I just did 3,264 damage, which is about twice. Approximately twice what my God Sword can normally hit. So next I'll demonstrate backhands. So I'm going to target this giant, and then I'm going to backhand him. So as you can see, he's got stun now. So next I'm going to demonstrate smash. So I'm just going to hit him, and if he had a protection prayer up and this was player versus player, it would go down. So Barge shares a cooldown with backhand, so now I'm going to demonstrate Barge. So first of all, if I'm right next to the fire giant, like so, and I target him, and I try to use Barge, as you can see, nothing happened, target too close, so I'm going to run over here, and I'm going to Barge him. Can't reach my target, I'm going to run over here, and I'm going to Barge him. So as you can see, I just leapt over there and stunned him. So I'm going to let him die over there for a second. My next ability is Flurry, so I'm going to pull out my dual-wielded weapons. And I'm going to go to my dual-wield action bar. And I'm going to spam my way up to full, or a threshold, whatever. I'm not doing that much damage because I've got a POS weapon. Just got a couple dragons. So, okie dokie, as soon as this one dies, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to use Flurry. Hey, come here. Okay, so, as you can see, I'm just kind of hitting at the normal speed, but I'm doing extra damage. That is extra damage. My weapons have like 500 damage. Okie dokie, so the next ability is Sever. So I'm just going to bring out the God Sword again for this one. And I'm just going to build up my adrenaline for later while I wait for Sever to recharge. Or to cool down, whatever. Okay, there we go. So this giant's just about dead, so I'm going to target this one. And I'm going to head over here. And I'm going to use Sever. Wait, target, attack. Okay, so what Sever's going to do is, as you can see, it does a considerable amount of damage, and now he's going to do 10% less damage to me for a bit. Okay, my next ability is Hurricane. So I'm going to go over and attack this one. And I'm going to use Hurricane. So if any giants had been standing, say, over here or over here, they would also have been hit by that. Next is Massacre, so I'm going to bring back the dual wields. I'm going to start building up my adrenaline to full, because Massacre is an ultimate. Okie dokie, so I'm going to go use this on a different giant, because it can hit pretty hard. So I'm going to attack this giant and Massacre. So as you can see, it just did some hefty damage to start, and now it's doing some more damage over time, which basically killed it. Okay. Final ability, Meteor Strike. So I'm going to bring back the God Sword again. And I'm going to get my full adrenaline back. Sorry about how long it takes to get full adrenaline. These things die pretty fast. Go back to the giant, spam a bit, stun, punish, sever. Okie dokie, I'm going to go over to this giant, and I'm going to use Meteor Strike. Set attack. So, Meteor Strike, so I'm going to jump up into the air, and I'm going to crash down. He died instantly, so Meteor Strike is basically the same as Overpower, only it has a broader range of damage. And now I'll move on to the strength abilities. First of all, we have Kick. So I'm going to target the giant. No, don't attack the giant. Whatever. So I'm going to kick him. And it says he's too large to knock back, but it gave me a little stun there. So the next thing, since he's stunned, I'm going to use Punish. So that would do slightly more damage if he was stunned. I'm gonna have to heal a little bit. He's about to kill me. I have like 700 health left. That's not very much when you are in the evolution. So I'm gonna spam on this dog a little bit. There we go. Should be enough to keep me going for a bit. Actually, that's not really, but whatever. Okay, dokie. So next, okay, I'll get this giant real quick, and then I'll heal from that, and then I'll demonstrate some more abilities. Well, I can demonstrate Dismember here. So Dismember this. I'm going to hit it, and as you can see, he's being dismembered, so he's going to take some damage over time. Long chain of 246s, and yeah, I'm just going to finish him off. And then I'm going to heal. Okay, so the next ability I'm going to demonstrate is Fury. So I'm going to walk over here, and I'm going to target my fire giant, and then I'm going to use Fury. So as you can see, I'm going to hit 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and that's going to do up to 150% of the amount of damage I would do over those 6 seconds if I was auto-attacking. And the next ability is going to be a dual wielder, so I'm going to bring out the Defender and Dagger. Then I'm going to head over here, action bar 4, then I'm going to spam a little bit. Havoc. Okay, so I believe the next ability I was going to demonstrate is Destroy. So as you can see, he's stunned, and he's going to stay stunned for a bit, and then I'm going to do a bit of damage over those 6 seconds, and then he's going to die. The next is Quake, which is going to require a 2-hander. So I'm going to go over here to my 2-hander bar. Quake is basically the same as Hurricane, except it does less damage and it lowers stuff defense. So I'm going to do Quake here. Oops, he died. Quake. So as you can see, all those big spikes came out of the ground, did some damage. So now I'm just going to spam a bit and heal. That'll demonstrate Berserk. I'm going to heal a bit before I do Berserk, because Berserk makes me take more damage, so I'm going to pause the video. Okay, I've got enough health to survive for a bit, so I'm going to spam my way up to full, and then I'm going to Berserk. this giant. Alright, so as soon as the next giant spawns, so that I can berserk on him. There we go, he spawned. So I'm going to finish this one off. And then I'm going to berserk. So I'm berserking now. So as you can see, there's that nifty animation. And I'm going to go over here and demonstrate the effects of berserk. So as you can see, I just one-hitted that giant with an auto attack. I just hit like 3,000 damage. And he died. So that's what berserk does. It kills them instantly. Well, it makes you hit really hard. Okay, next ability is going to be cleave. So that, I'm just going to cleave, and it's going to, that would hit all the enemies in front of me. Next up is assault, so I'll get my adrenaline full. And I'll start assaulting some giants. Armed assault. Assault with a deadly weapon. Okie dokie, my adrenaline is full, so assault. So there's a nice green smoke, and I killed him on the first hit, but that would do 4 hits, each for up to about 1.5 times my normal auto attack damage. And so with the God Sword, for example, that would hit up to with the God Sword, that would hit up to about 11,000 damage. Okay, so now I'm going to, let's see, what's the next one? Decimate is a basic ability, so I'm just going to equip both of these. And, so, it would, well, it missed, but I'm just going to poke him until it comes back. Well, I'm going to work on full adrenaline until it comes back, and I'll show you what actually happens when you decimate someone. Okay, it's back, so I'm going to decimate. So, as you can see, it just did some light little damage. So, next up, we have Pulverize. Is like the only ultimate that I actually use. And that has a really cool animation too. Okay, I've got full adrenaline, so I'm going to attack this fire giant over here. Attack. And then I'm going to do Pulverize, so I'm going to drag my sword around and whack him. As you can see, it didn't do a ton of damage, but the thing is, he would be doing 25% less damage to me for the next 20 seconds. And I don't have 86 strength, so I can't demonstrate Frenzy, so we'll move on to Magic. Take off my helmet here because it's melee, so I'll help with my maging. 3. Go cast spell. Okay, so first of all, we have Impact. So, Impact. So, the giant would have been stunned. Oh wait, I'm not doing that in the right order, am I? So our first one is Rack, so it's just going to do some extra damage, as you, I think, saw there. And the next one is going to be Asphyxiate, so I'm going to get myself full adrenaline. I mean, 50% adrenaline, not full. Actually, I'm going to avoid death. I'll resume this in a moment. I need to... Okay, I'm capable of surviving now, so let's see. Magic abilities, I was about to show you Asphyxiate, so I'll spam my way up to full adrenaline here. Attack. I'll be right back. Okay, I now have Asphyxiate back, so, it's kind of hard to hit these fire giants, because they're weak to... They're strong against magic, but, so I didn't hit at all, but what it would have done if I had hit is it would have stunned it and caused significant damage. Okay, next up's Omni Power, so I'll get a full bar here. And Omni Power is just going to hit for some considerable damage. Pretty simple attack. Okay, I'm going to Omni Power, and it's got a really neat animation. Oh, it actually hit, and he died, as you saw. Okay. Hang on a sec, I'm going to get full health again. Okay, back at full health again, and I'm about to Dragon Breath a giant. So, Dragon Breath is just going to hit everything in front of me for some considerable damage. Too far away, so I'll move up and continue fighting. So I'm just going to breathe fire on him and do some damage. Next up is going to be Impact, so I'm going to impact him, and he would have been stunned. It didn't work, but... So next up is Combust, so Combust is just a damage over time. Again, it splashed, but it would have hit him. I'm going to transfer over to Moss Giants now, because they don't have as high resistance, because they're low, they're noobs. So I'm going to demonstrate Fire Breath over here. Okay, so Fire Breath, hopefully it hits. It hit. And then Impact is going to do this, so he's stunned now. Rack would do this. Combust would do this. Combust missed again. Asphyxiate would do this. It's relatively inaccurate. But okay, so next one is Surge, so I'm just gonna Surge. Okay, and then I'm gonna run back over here and Detonate. So what Detonate is gonna do, I recommend you never use it, but if for whatever reason you should choose to use it, this is what it does. Boom. It's not exactly impressive, so Chain is going to do this. As you saw, it hit the other giant, I think. Well, it actually didn't, but it would have hit the other giant. And then Wild Magic is going to do this. So, Wild Magic is just hit some damage randomly. I'm going to spam my way up to Metamorphosis now. Okay, so now as he dies, this is what Metamorphosis does. So first, as you can see, I just turned into an air thing. So I'm gonna, all my spells are gonna be free, and I'm gonna do extra damage if I can actually hit. There, I hit and did extra damage. This is just gonna last for 20 seconds, and I'm gonna turn back into a person. And the final one, I do not have Tsunami, so I won't be able to demonstrate, I'm afraid. Okay, so now I'm just going to heal with my leftover adrenaline. Slap that shield on. Ah, damn giant. Punch you to death. Okay, now I'm going to heal. And then we will move on to defense abilities, so I would have had to put that shield on anyway. So, first of all, we have Asphyxiate, or Anticipation, so that just makes me immune to stun. So if someone tried to backhand me, it wouldn't work. Next up, we have Bash. So, Bash. You know what, I'm going to keep with the Moss. I'm going to stick with the Moss Giants. They have less resistance. So, while Bash is recharging, I guess I can't. Okay, so Bash. So, he's stunned. So I'm just going to... He's a noob. And next up is Revenge, so I'm going to spam my way up to a full bar real quick. Or a half bar, whatever. Okay, there we go. So, Revenge. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to stop attacking him for a moment. And so you can see it's counting up on revenge. That's going to be the number of times my damage has been increased. So for that one time, I would add a 10% boost to my damage. Next is provoke, so that doesn't do anything here, but it would force them to focus on me. Okay, so now I'm gonna, if you'll hang on a second, I'm gonna get both to full adrenaline, and I'm gonna get to very low health as well. So, okay, I've got very low health, so I'm just gonna do that. And as soon as I die, which will be fairly soon, I have 271 hit points. Wait for it. Okay, there was one hit. Come on, hit me, hit me, hit me. There we go. So as you can see, I just got brought back to life. So I'm going to go hide now. Okay, the next ability is Freedom. So what would happen here is it would clear any damage over time and stuns, and it would give me immunity to stuns for 6 seconds. And then Reflect over here. I'll spam my adrenaline up a bit. Alright, so I'll head over here and attack this one. So, okay, here's Reflect. So, I'm gonna walk away for a moment here. I'm just gonna let him hit me. And if he hits me in the next 10 seconds, you see it reflects damage. So, next up is Rejuvenate, or Resonate. So, the next hit he lands on me is going to heal me. See, I healed. Next is Rejuvenate. I could use a heal anyway, so I'm just gonna do that. Spam my way up. Okay, here we go.